It's day 470. It's also August 19th, 2020. And we are in Silver Lake, Iowa. Or wait, is it Northwood, Iowa?
You ever wake up in the morning and ask yourself, what am I doing? And more importantly, why? Yeah, me too. Hi, my name's Craig, and this is my story. A story about life. Life out there. For visuals while listening, search Life Out There on your favorite social media platform or use the links in the podcast description.
We put around 200 miles behind us today. The drive down from North Branch, Minnesota started almost chilly. I mean, 50 degrees isn't exactly cold, but definitely indicates that summer around here is on its way out. Looks like we'll top out at around 78 degrees today. And it's always fun heading out early. The sun in our face, or just to our left in this case, bringing the temps up as it rises over the stretches of farmland mixed with dense tree lines. Highway 35 cuts south, taking us past more rolling fields of corn and soybeans. In some spots, the fields of green going on forever, broken up just here and there by old farmhouses and the silos beside them. A few small towns came and went, their main streets quiet in the early hours, old brick buildings and the occasional diner. And at this point, it's kind of hard to tell why so quiet. Pandemic? Or just an ordinary morning at around 9 a.m. in Pilot Grove, Minnesota, population 85. And crossing over into Iowa from Minnesota, the landscape flattened out just a bit, and it wasn't long when I spotted Diamond Joe's, a casino, and a perfect spot for some shut-eye. And just like back in Mahnomen, an empty parking lot meant we'd have the casino almost all to ourselves. And special bonus, the adjacent rest area was an Iowa Welcome Center. They called it Top of Iowa, complete with a war memorial and historical marker. Unfortunately, the Welcome Center itself was closed. Yup, pandemic. The casino, rest area, and welcome center, as well as the gas station, seemed to be pretty much all there was to this place. But all we needed for a few hours of rest before hitting the road in the morning. No RV park here at Diamond Joe's, just a wide-open parking lot. And also, just like back in Mahnomen, the casino seemed to be just opening back up, and doesn't look like too many folks around here are venturing back out just yet. After a few long walks with Dougie and Billie, a quiet night on the internet, I'd learned that Silver Lake is more than just a quiet stop along the highway. But to really understand this place, I'd have to go back, way back, before there were roads, before there were settlers, even before the town existed. This land belonged to the Dakota Sioux. They roamed the prairies long before those European settlers, and the rolling plains and glacial lakes of northern Iowa were hunting grounds, sacred spaces, and part of a vast network of land where indigenous people thrived for centuries. They followed the bison, fished the lakes, and left their mark in ways that are still felt today, even though a lot of that history has been paved over or plowed under. The settlement of Silver Lake began in the mid-1800s, during a time when the promise of fertile land brought European immigrants westward. You know, the ones that came in covered wagons with dreams of staking a claim, building homes, and farming the vast open land. The very same dream that thousands were chasing across the entire Midwest of a young country. The town was named for the small, reflective lake nearby, a body of water that in the right light, so they say, shimmers like silver. In those early days, agriculture was the backbone of Silver Lake. The town grew around the needs of farmers and grain mills, blacksmith shops, and a general store serving as the pillars of the local economy. And by the late 1800s, the population continued to climb as families built homesteads and established the first schools and churches. The railroad eventually made its way here too, connecting Silver Lake to larger towns, and providing a means to transport those crops and livestock back to markets well beyond Iowa's borders. And another familiar story. The 20th century brought change. As farming technology advanced, fewer hands were needed to work the land, and families that had been here for generations began to move on. The town's population peaked early in the century and slowly declined as small family farms gave way to larger operations. Silver Lake may have been a bit busier a while back, but seems they've settled in at around 300 folks. And I bet that casino over there is doing its part in pulling in a few cars off that highway. And I also bet it's the kind of place where people know their neighbors, where a local diner serves as the unofficial town hall, a place that history may have lost sight of, but yet full of reminders. The weathered wood of the old barns and the rusted tracks of long-forgotten rail lines. And probably good reason they put that Top of Iowa Welcome Center and War Memorial here in Silver Lake, to stand as a tribute to those who served. A reminder that even the smallest towns have stories worth telling. The casino and gas station may be the most visible landmarks now, but the real essence of this place lies in its past, in the people who built it, and in the land that has seen it all. And it's just that makes Silver Lake, Iowa, just like every other small town in this country. And it was right about here, in my reading, things took a bit of a twist. We weren't in Silver Lake. Turns out, we were in Northwood, Iowa. Now, I'm not even sure why I thought it was Silver Lake. I must have saw a sign somewhere. Maybe the GPS on my phone, I don't know. But after reading all about Silver Lake, it was while reading about the Top of Iowa Welcome Center and visiting its website, I learned it's not in Silver Lake, it's in Northwood. So, tell me about Northwood, I asked the internet. And no surprise, given the two towns are less than 15 miles apart, it's a story very similar to that of Silver Lake, but just a bit grander in scale. Northwood was born in the mid-1800s, when a pioneer named Gulbrand O'Mellam built himself a cabin here. The town was platted a few years later and named Northwood, reflecting its position in the northern corner of the county. And the pioneers, those settlers, they just kept coming. And just like Silver Lake, Northwood's economy has historically been driven by agriculture. But unlike Silver Lake, lumber would soon become a part of Northwood's economy, due to its proximity to densely wooded forests in the area and the presence of the Shell Rock River, providing the water power needed for those mills in town. And that extra push is what likely enabled Northwood to grow a bit faster and bigger than Silver Lake. Right out of the gate, nearly 300 folks would start calling Northwood home. The town's population nearly quadrupled in just the first 10 years. And by the turn of the century, nearly 1,300 pioneers were buzzing around Northwood. And that's how it went around here. Solid growth for over 60 years. By 1980, there were over 2K. But by 1990, they'd seen their first drop in population since founding. There's been a couple of ups and downs since then, but for the most part, looks like Northwood has settled in at around 2,000. It seems to work for them. We'll head out early in the morning, I think. Sun in our face again. It was just one night, and we hadn't talked to a soul. But that doesn't mean we didn't feel a bit of that pioneer spirit and the resilience of the folks that chose to live here, on these rugged plains, in sometimes unforgiving conditions. And picturing what it all must have looked like over 170 years ago, way before all these roads. And the fact is, we're probably taking just a little bit of Silver Lake and Northwood, Iowa with us as we pull out of this casino parking lot. And I guess we're sort of back in that who cares mode. You know, go where the road takes us. And I wonder what we'll learn there.
Turns out, this thing called life comes with a lot of rules. Maybe it's time to break a few. Because you can. No, seriously. You can.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.